Ho, ho, ho! This is Up for Debate, episode number 285, recorded December 18th, 2024. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Christmas-tacular episode of Up for Debate, the debate show where the two hosts agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined, as always, by the Burgermeister, Meisterburger himself, Mr. Matt. Hello, Mr. Matt.
Sean, aren't you going to ask how I'm doing?
Matt, how are you doing?
Not good, Sean. Because you know why?
Why?
Before I came into this room to record this podcast, I stubbed my foot. I stubbed my toe. Can you stub your foot? Stub my toe. I stubbed my toe on a toy. A toy that was left out. I stubbed my toe and then I slipped and fell down the stairs. I had to hobble back up to get to this seat to tell you that I am banning toys.
And putting out a death warrant on anyone who
brings in toys. Immediate torture and execution.
Totally rational. Totally rational reaction.
So don't try to be a radical and sneak into my town bringing in sacks of toys for the children, because you will be caught. You will be found out no matter where you hide. Under the floorboards, in the cupboard, I will find you. My men will find you and your toys.
I'll be honest, the rest of the society actually seemed quite nice. So, I mean, if that's the one sort of crazy thing you choose to obsess over as a leader, I guess that's okay, as long as, you're doing
those
well
kids,
otherwise.
Those kids were very industrious. They were cleaning their socks.
The homes seemed nice and secure, and they weren't happy, but who really is?
Happy is a fleeting thing, Sean. It's, some people say that, cleanliness can make you happy, or commitment to your craft or your work. Maybe those kids just needed to learn a little industry there, and
they needed more stockings to clean.
Yeah. Indeed.
Matt, we are back this week with our good friends Rankin and Bass. We are reviewing more of those stop-motion Christmas classics. If you didn't join us last week, it was a great one, an all-timer. We watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and The Little Drummer Boy. By the way, I should apologize right up front. I have a terrible cold. I have been battling this cold for a week. If I start coughing or sound really congested, that's why I apologize up front.
You're in good company, Sean. I too have a cold, so it's going around.
I've never been more sick in my life than I have been this year. It's been constant.
Same. Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. That being said, we've got two fresh ones this week we're going to be talking about. We'll be doing 1970s Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and then 1975's The First Christmas, the story of the first Christmas snow. Now, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, maybe the second most famous of these after Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Certainly highly notable. As I said, came out in 1970, originally airing on ABC December 13th of that year. Narrated by Fred Astaire, with Santa Claus voiced by Mickey Rooney. And Matt, I had a lot of opinions on this thing, but let's start with you. What did you think of Santa Claus is Coming to Town? Do you remember this one?
This one, I have seen. This is like the first one that we've watched that I definitely remember having seen, at least in bits and pieces, if not probably in its entirety, a while back. I overall I liked it. I thought that for me it wasn't as memorable as Rudolph. I guess for me it wasn't, the songs weren't as memorable. They weren't as like famous or grandiose. The story was a little simplistic, but it was fine. I give this like a solid like B-. It would be like right in the middle of my Rankin and Bass. Ooh, I like that. Rankin and Bass. Can we do that in a future episode? I think we should.
When we're done, we will rank the Rankin and Bass. Absolutely.
Rankin and Bass. Okay. Anyway. The voice acting, like, they had a lot of talent that I felt like went extremely underutilized. You had Fred Astaire as the delivery man, but he's only in like, I mean, he's throughout the whole movie, but like you have Oh no, he's really just in the beginning, right? When he kind of
Yeah, and
introduces
he does
the whole
voiceover
thing.
throughout.
Yeah,
But it's not really. It's not really. He gets
like
one
notable.
song.
Yeah, yeah, he gets that one song. This the titular song, right? He gets the Santa Claus is coming to town, which another revelation where I didn't know that the song was released for this movie
Hmm.
or like
No,
debuted in this movie. Is that true or no?
no, it did not.
Did I
No,
make that up?
it was first. It was
Oh
first
yeah,
performed in 1934.
1934. Okay, so it's a while back. So this is this one came out in 1970, December of
Yes.
1970. Okay, so anyway, the he gets that one song. Mickey Rooney plays Chris Kringle, aka Santa Claus, and I feel like he doesn't get nearly enough airtime. Um, I mean, for the movie's like about him, and he's in every scene, but like he doesn't get to. I don't, he gets he's the straight man, you know. He's like the Mickey Rooney's supposed to be like wacky and like silly. He's a comedian, I feel like he wasn't really attuned to like comedic effect here. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Santa
You
Santa
read you have
sounded
thoughts.
weird to me. He sounded it wasn't the right voice. No offense to Mickey
Uh,
Rooney. I don't
he,
have a problem with him. But throughout I'm like, he sounds funny.
Here's what I probably would have used Mickey Rooney as the voice of Burgermeister Meisterburger.
Sure.
The
Fred
later
Astaire could have
villain,
been
right?
Santa.
Fred Astaire, then exactly. See, in my head, I'm still picturing Fred Astaire as Santa. He even looked kind of like him. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it was a miscast. It was a weird miscast because like everybody was fit, but I feel like they should have been in just like different roles. I think the movie could have been much better if you had just switched you just switched those two guys around, and then the voice actor that does Burgermeister Meisterburger does a lot of other voices.
Oh, the
So he'd
great
be,
Paul Frees.
he's got almost everybody. Paul Frees, he is Grimsley, Topper, all of the animals, guards, doctor, newsreel announcer, all of the Kringle brothers, Dingle, Ringle, Tingle, Wingle, and Zingle, all the male townsfolk, a businessman, a Scrooge-related man, the tree monsters, and more. So he's he's got plenty on his plate. He doesn't also need to be the Burgermeister Meisterburger, you know. So that was if that's my biggest pick, I guess with the movie, my biggest gripe. It was fine. It was pretty good.
I have lots of gripes.
Okay.
I have a massive
Okay.
Matt. This movie was, in a word, perplexing. It did one of those things I really hate, which is where they take an established canon, light on details, and flesh it out in ways that like don't make sense to squeeze it into the existing lore.
Sean, you are either going to love or effing hate the origin of Santa Claus
Well, but the thing is,
when we get to that. I can't wait to get
that
to
seems
that.
goofier. Maybe I'm wrong, but this because this is like the classic. This is like the story of Santa Claus. This is one of the more well known Rankin Bass. I was watching this thing and I was like, every time, I could not believe they had the kid voiceover who kept saying, "Oh, so that's why that's like that. Oh, that's where he gets his whatever." And
Yeah,
but it was like it made me feel like the movie thought I was stupid. And it drove me nuts every time. And I'm like, and I took some notes. And I'm like, wait, he laughs that way because of seals? Like, it was all this stuff. Oh, they put, well, him getting married was a whole nother thing. But they were like, he put his wedding gifts under the tree. And that's why we put our gifts under a tree.
Oh yeah. That's what I mean. By the way, the movie is not. It's the movie I mentioned before is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, of course,
Yes,
by L.
that's one of
Frank
the later
Baum.
ones
Now
we're going to watch.
that one I'm really excited for that one. But you are because that movie does what you described that you said you just hated, and does it like a full blown fantasy D&D twist.
That's what I'm excited about.
It invents mind boggling origins of Santa Claus that are like kind of pagan and D&D esque in nature. It's really cool. I love that movie, but I don't know how you're gonna feel about it when we watch it. I'm very excited for that one, folks. Tune in for sure for that episode when
Yes.
we talk about the
Well,
origin. Yeah,
this
the
one
life
just
and
felt
times of
lazy.
Santa
I mean,
Claus.
that's what kind of annoyed me, where it was like they had a
Yeah.
list of like, guys, here's 30 things about Santa Claus you have to get into this 45-minute movie. And they're
Mm.
like, okay, and they wrote it around that. And it
So
was I wrote
I
like,
was
yeah.
I was waiting for the kid that you mentioned that was like constantly like interjecting. I was waiting for him to be like, so, but does that explain why mommy drinks too much?
Yeah.
Does that explain why mommy forgot Christmas was last when Christmas was last year?
Yeah,
Like,
is that why couldn't mommy afford gifts?
yeah,
Yeah, it's I have some magical doodads left over, like this magic grain that makes reindeer fly. I'm like, I laughed every time that happened. Where
yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, I lost brain cells watching this.
See, I don't know, and to me that felt like it was there. That was obviously there for the kids, but also as an adult watching it, I felt like it was like more of a wink and a nod. It was more like, we all this is
Yeah,
insane, and
the
we know it.
first time. The
Mm-hmm.
first, it's like, oh, they all dressed in red suits and he got a red suit and that's how Santa got a suit. Okay, I kind of get that. And then I swear, in the last like 7 minutes of the movie, every 5 seconds they were cramming in another. The Winter Warlock's like, I wish I had a little magic, and then the tree lights up, and that's why we light up trees at Christmas. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
stop. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I have too much to do. I should just do it all in one night, and that's why Christmas is one night. And I'm
Only
like,
one night.
it really was driving me nuts.
So, where do we begin with this one? We have it begins with another newsreel, much
I
like
did write that. I
Yeah.
said, did every movie back then start with a newsreel? Like,
It was I guess it was the fashion of the time, maybe because of the war was on, like the Vietnam War. I don't know, like people were looking at the news a lot. But this time it's not. This time it's a message of hope. The last one in Rudolph was all about how it's going to snow, the worst winter on record, and how much it's going to snow. Imagine that in 2024. This one is all about messages about a postman. The children are all around the world are awaiting a postman, or no, they're awaiting Santa Claus. They're all awaiting Santa Claus. The postman, who is voiced over by Fred Astaire, SD Kluger, his name is. Don't know where they got
Okay.
that name. But Mr. Kluger's mail truck breaks down. And so he decides, instead of fixing it, he's going to tell the story of Santa Claus. Because that's how efficient the post system is. So he's going to talk about Santa, and he read the letters that all the children sent him to the north to deliver to the North Pole. And so we get the original Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is not Santa Claus yet. He's a small little baby by the name of Klaus. Klaus arrives on the doorstep of Burgermeister Meisterburger. The most
name.
stereotypical German name you can pop out. This side of Herr Sauerkraut Krautenheimer. So he is the grouchy mayor of Sombertown, which when I was watching the movie, I didn't. Everybody kept saying it with an accent, so it sounded like Sonnentown or Sonnentown, but I didn't get it. It was supposed to be Sombertown because they're all somber,
which I like, and it was very gray.
Yes.
Which I did appreciate, because then when Santa walks through in his red suit, it really pops, and the toys are all colorful. So I did, from a design perspective, I did appreciate that.
Yeah, I could see that. So Meisterburger promptly kicks out the baby, says get him out of here because he's crying and it's making too much noise. So they take Klaus over to an orphanage, but then a gust of wind sweeps him away.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Klaus,
Let's stop right there for a second.
Yeah.
All right. So I wrote, they fucked that baby up immediately. They have the baby for about 3 seconds and already I don't want it. Get it out of my face. Take it to the orphanage. It's a blizzard. Transporting the baby on a sleigh. Baby gets blown away by the wind. I also wrote down there was a little sign
Mm-hmm.
in that shot as they were going by that said orphan asylum, not an orphanage, an
No, yeah.
orphan asylum. I was like, oh,
I pointed that out too.
that's not
I
good.
noticed that too. That's dark. That's real dark.
And so the baby
Yeah.
just like blows away and then gets like taken into the woods by animals. And
Mm-hmm.
already I'm like, where is this movie going? At this point, I was starting to get concerned. Because there's like, oh, baby blew away. Sorry. Just can't do anything about that. It happens all the time.
I think it's at that point that the elves come in, right? And the elves rescue him. They bring him back to the Kringle family.
Bring the baby
to the
elves, to the Kringles.
And the elves bring him to the Kringles. And the Kringles are basically just like Santa clones. They're like, well, they all look like Santa. What was up with that?
But that's why we're done. I'm like, wait, so we know this whole legend of like Santa and the elves, they work for Santa and they make the toys, but it's like, wait, the elves raised Santa?
The elves raised Santa, and they work for this Kringle family.
No, the elves are the Kringle family.
The elves are the Kringle family?
Yes, they are so in their little red things, they're elves, they're the Kringles. And so Santa adopts his mannerism.
Dingle, Ringle, Tingle, Wingle, and Zingle. Yes. Yeah, they're also the elves. Okay, yeah.
And then
but they look like Santa, right? Don't they have like beards?
Queen Kringle. Well, but that's what it is. Santa adopts his mannerisms because the elves did it first.
So Santa is an imposter. He's just a guy wearing a beard.
Well, no, I think he grew the beard. I don't think it's a fake beard. But yes, the red suit is because that's how the Kringle elves dress.
Okay. All right, so he's appropriating their culture.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like
he's also being raised by them, so I guess he's being raised like in their.
But
culture.
Then they work for him.
Yeah, because he's big and they're small. Simple as that.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe he acquires food for them or something, or
I don't know what he adds other than being an abandoned child. Eventually, he delivers their toys to town, but even then, I don't. It's weird. It's a weird
They're the skilled ones, though. They teach him how to build toys.
Yes, they are master toys. We have a whole song, by the way, about the high quality of the toys they make.
Yes, they do. What did you think of we finally, this is where we meet Mr. Topper. What do you think of Topper?
Again, I'm just like, so they do a whole thing where they're like, all right, again, we have to explain everything about, it's one of those like Star Wars things where it's like they have to have a spin-off show to explain every little thing that's ever happened. It's like that with this, where it's like, it's not enough that he's raised by the Kringle elves. He was also raised by the animals. That's why he can climb up walls and jump over things. And he says, ho, 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 like the seals. Like, what a...
Do you think this movie would have been easier if Fred Astaire in the beginning just said, I'll tell you where Santa Claus comes from. He was invented by Coca-Cola. And then he just winks at the camera and then the movie just ends.
Again, like...
it's he was invented in the 50s to sell
maybe I'm just like...
soda.
Maybe I'm just like cinematic universe overload, but it's like, I don't need every little spin-off to explain every part of everything. And it's like that with this, where it's like, I didn't need to know why he said ho, ho, ho. Like, I could have been just fine not knowing.
Even that has to have an explanation.
It's like, it's because the seals do... Seals? I'm sorry. This movie, maybe it's the cold medicine, but it just broke
I think whoever made this was on something stronger than cold medicine.
Honestly, so. But that's the other thing. I wrote that this movie has no plot whatsoever.
Well, it kind of has a plot.
Barely there. It's a series of things that happen.
Yeah, I mean you're right. There's no like in the traditional sense of like
there's no
rising
art,
action.
There's no sort of...
There's no it's a series of explanations for how Santa got to be the way he is, and that is
further into it.
Yeah,
the ending is anyway. You asked me about Topper.
Yeah,
sure, okay.
I
mean, it's hey,
he's an original character, right? He's not. He doesn't have anything really to do with Christmas at all. Except I bet they wish they could have got the polar bear. They should have got the Coca-Cola polar bear if they're trying to take everything from marketing. But
and it was also confusing, by the way, because the animals in Rudolph talk, but they don't talk in this one.
Yes, that I was waiting for Topper to say things, but
that would have been cool.
Yeah,
but no, I like Topper. I was pro Topper.
So then he leaves with Topper. He rescues him from like a blizzard. Do they meet the tree spirit yet? The evil tree?
No,
winter wizard.
The wizard
They
is
kind
kind of
of
like,
teased him a little bit. He shows up and he's like, "Don't go any further."
yeah, he's kind of in the hills, kind of like,
Yeah,
haha, I'll get them.
but then they make it to their first destination, Somber Town. So they walk into Somber Town, and that's where Meisterburger.
No,
No, did I
this
miss
is
something?
again. I'm telling you. So this is where the movie expects me to believe these things are happening parallel because so Santa's already on his way with toys. Before he arrives, Meisterburger steps on the toy, breaks his leg, panics, takes all the toys, outlaws them, and bans them while Santa is on his way with a sack of toys.
Bad timing,
I'm just like,
or great timing. He can corner the market.
it's absolutely mental. It's
Mhm.
mental.
Yeah. So Santa's got it. He's got a bag. Everybody is waiting for the man with the bag, and he shows up in town now an outlaw, a complete outlaw with a
That's
bright
right.
red. I remember he walks in the town. The first thing somebody says to him is, "You should be ashamed of yourself, young man, for wearing such clothing,
Yeah.
or such garish clothing, or something like that." Um, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, top of the morning to you too, ma'am." And like, he's walking around. He's got the bag. And Meister Burger. But by the way, I think that was probably the best song in the whole in the piece. I thought the best song was his "I'm Gonna Ban All the Toys."
Yes.
You remember that one? It's like a
Yes.
German polka. I
Absolutely.
thought that was a lot of fun. Um, it was "No More Toy Makers to the King." That was the name of the song. Oh, you know what? There is another song in here that's actually pretty solid, but we'll get to that one. No More Toy Makers of the King, pretty good. So all the toys are banned. Pains of execution and like removal of fingernail. He goes into like gruesome detail about how these people are going to get executed if they make toys. Like horrible stuff. Like this guy is a brutal dictator of this town. But like we said, it seems like, not the worst place to live. If that's the most extreme he gets is just banning toys. I was waiting for there to be like something traumatic about, like, did he get like, other than just tripping over a toy?
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to be like he was like a toy like robbed him at gunpoint or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
a toy shot his parents in Crime Alley.
right, exactly. He just had he has some kind of like really deep trauma related to toys. So, but it never came. He just tripped on one and was like ready to go to war with these toys. So what happens next? I'm trying to think. Oh, Santa. He starts like giving the toys out to everybody. He's like distributing the toys to the kids.
Yes.
And then Burgermeister's having like a military parade, and he sees that, and he arrests Santa. They arrest him, right? They go to arrest him.
Yes, and he escapes with
And he
Topper
escapes. Yes, him and Topper
into the
escape.
woods.
Mm-hmm. He also meets in the town. He meets Jessica, right?
Yes, and I would like to say,
Yeah.
of course, in this movie, the only adult woman we meet turns into Mrs. Claus.
Is of course going to be the love interest. Yes.
Oh my!
Of course. Of course.
Insufferable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You saw that. You absolutely saw that coming.
Oh God!
So he woos
Come
her
on.
from the word go. He's just like, no, toys are actually pretty cool. And she's like, yeah, you're right. Toys are pretty cool. And then locked in. So, he escapes into the woods, and that's when we meet the Winter Warlock, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a character I liked.
Yeah. No, he was actually interesting. If you liked him, you might like the other movie I mentioned. There's more characters like him in the Life and Times of Santa Claus. You'll find there's more. There's similar characters to the Warlock. He is intriguing. He's an intriguing one. What'd you think of him?
I liked him. What I liked is he wasn't a particularly aggressive character. He was pretty mild.
Yeah.
And he basically was defeated in about 3 seconds. Like it was pretty much the saddest battle ever, where he's just like, "Oh," and Santa's like, "Don't be so bad." And he's like, "Oh, you melted my heart. You win." Which
Yeah,
was
that
very
was.
strange. But I liked his
It
whatever
almost
his goofy brand of magic was.
it almost felt like they threw him in at like either like it seemed like he was the original villain before they thought of Meisterburger, like before they even like put him in there. It was going to be like Santa versus the Warlock, and they made the design and they were like, this design is really cool and it'll sell a bunch of toys, but so we got to keep him in there. But we kind of like moved on without him. This plot, like, we took a bunch of turns, and we have this new guy, this Burgermeister guy. We're gonna go with him instead, but we got to sell these toys, so he's got to be in the movie somewhere. And then I really feel like that's how he stayed there. They kind of
Well,
stuck him in
he's
there.
very bad at magic. He's very bad at
Yeah,
magic because all we really see him do is threaten people, which isn't magic. He directs trees to grab people. I don't think that's technically magic. He has a bunch of semi magic doodads in his pocket, and he can create a snowball that can stalk children
he
and
he
gives
kind of
that power somehow to Santa.
he kind of struck me as like a druid, but a druid who is like pretending to be he thinks he's a wizard, but he's actually like he's got all this nature magic, but he keeps relying on like his or rather like a wizard who's playing at being a druid, maybe that more like it. Like
Yeah.
wizards have like really high intelligence, and druids play off their charisma. So I think, well, no, wisdom. I think he's just like somebody. He's in the wrong class. He needs to multi-class, or
Yes.
he needs to get out of the class that class he's in. He's either druid or wizard. He's pretty bad at both. I think he
I
multied too
agree.
soon. I think that's what happened. He multied too soon, and he didn't take that level 3 bump. So he didn't. He never got into like a circle or a magic school. He's just like kind of like he needs to do more with that. So
Although
he doesn't know which one to fall into. Mm-hmm.
I will say I did really enjoy the running gag of him. Please call me Mr. Winter. Please call me
Yes.
Mr. Winter. I did find that amusing.
I wondered if this was where they got the idea of heat miser and frost miser, especially like frost miser from A Year Without a Santa Claus, which we'll be
Yeah.
watching soon.
Yes.
Um,
Mr. Snow, I think is his name.
well, he calls himself Mr. Snow, and they call me freeze miser. I think whatever I touch starts to freeze in my clutch. I think that's where they got the idea for this guy, for him.
Yeah.
Love that movie too. Can't wait till we discuss that.
That's going to be next week.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got he meet yep. So they capture him, and then Winter Warlock captures him, but then he instantly melts his heart because he gives him a toy train, which was funny. Then the Burgermeister places the entire city on house arrest. Everybody's windows and doors are locked. Martial law. No toys anywhere gets in. But how does Santa get around that? How does he get around that? All the doors are locked and windows are locked. So where's he got to go? Where's he got to
Of
go?
course.
He's got to go straight down the chimney.
You know,
Straight down the chimney.
it was very
From an
funny
old
to
payment.
me. I did appreciate that in this movie they use every kind of like magic BS workaround for all the different lore items. But for chimneys, he's like, he just goes down it.
He just goes
Like,
down
there's
it.
no magic. He's just like,
No.
no, he gets all sooty and dirty. He's like,
No,
I just like going down
well,
chimneys.
he's got to get in there to deliver the toys, and he has to reminisce. Apparently, every night ever since then, he has to remember the night he broke into children's homes to deliver them toys because of the city ordinance that placed them under house arrest. He has to relive that every year on December 25th.
You know what's very funny is there was a literal split second in watching this film where I thought and then immediately realized it was one of the dumbest thoughts I've ever had. But I thought, is this movie a Holocaust allegory? And then I'm like, no, No, it's not. I don't know why I thought that, because I'm like, Germans, he's being prosecuted.
No, I
And,
really think they just got the German angle because he's Chris Kringle. That sounds really
oh,
German.
again, it was a very
Wow.
stupid thought on my part, but I did.
That was how I think that I'm pretty sure this movie.
Yes.
I mean, like most Christmas movies, probably put together by like Jewish producers and TV.
Please don't read into it. It was
know?
just very funny to me that I thought that, and I'm like, the cheaply made stop motion Christmas film from the 70s. No, it's not.
I don't think that. I don't think that's the
no.
angle they're going for. I think,
But I did think it.
the German militaristic angle, though. I mean, I think that was just like, this was the 70s, so this was like early 70s. So you had like the Berlin Wall, you had like East and West Germany, you had like
Sure, and
Cold War Germany was still like something that you could point at and be like, oh, like a lot of them live under like military dictatorship, essentially.
and Burgermeister Meisterburger is just a funny thing to say.
Yes, great, well, very well named. So they go down. He's distributing all the toys. Then
they go house to house searching for toys. And again, I'm not pushing the Holocaust allegory, but they go house to house searching for toys. So Matt, have you ever wondered why we put toys in stockings?
Gotta
it's
hide
because
them.
the evil German guy was going door to door, threatening to arrest people who had toys. So they hid them in their wet stockings that were drying next to the fireplace.
In fact, Sean, when I have kids, I'm going to do the same, only I'm going to dress up like the German soldiers and walk through the house searching for their toys.
Yes,
scolding them, telling them if I find the toys that they are going to prison, or they're going to go work in the mines. So
I wish I do love a good IMDb quotes page. It's not on here, but the line of, well, we've looked everywhere except for these drying stockings, which should be there. Good job. They specifically call it out, which is very funny to me.
They point out, or they do their work, right? They set it up early on. They're washing the stockings and they're making a big deal about it. I honestly I didn't make that connection until they hid the toys in there. And I was
Chekhov's stocking.
Chekhov's stocking. That's why they introduced the stockings earlier. That's what their purpose was.
No meat on the bone in this movie, Matt. Every single thing they do is to set up some kind of Santa Claus lore.
None of it goes to waste, my friend. None of it goes to waste. So, the soldiers capture Winter and the Kringles. They round them up. And then Jessica goes to visit them in prison. And then poor Winter, he lost all his magic except for
for some reason that's not explained.
He can do one, because his heart is melted, right?
Is that why he lost his magic?
I mean, nothing else changed, unless he just wasn't really that magical in the first place, which you kind of pointed out. I always thought like the snow was the source of his magic. He's like an ice mage, and Santa essentially casted like a charm spell on him that like melted all the snow, and then I don't know. He had one last bit of magic though. There's one last thing he could do. He had some enchanted corn in his pocket. This was pretty stupid. This I thought this was really dumb. This I have to give it. This was really
line
dumb.
reading. I give so much credit. The line reading by the Winter Warlock, where it's a throw-off line. He's like, well, I got some rope and a busted wand and this, a magical corn, but all it does is make reindeer fly. So, and I'm just like, stop, you're kidding me.
It was almost like they were checking all the boxes. They're like, okay, that's why he goes in the chimney. That's why he does put presents in the stocking. That's why they go under the
it's reverse engineered.
We didn't cover the reindeer. Why can the reindeer fly? We have to explain that because everything must be explained about Christmas.
And then the best part is, right? So Miss Jessica's like, whoa, hey, that gives me an idea. It shows her going over to the reindeer, does the comet and the blitz and the whole thing, does a little wink wink to Rudolph. They give him the corn. They do not explain how flying reindeer break you out of a dungeon. Like they literally just show him flying off. Like it was baffling to me. Like, I get you're setting up the lore. How on earth would magic reindeer get you out of prison? They just totally skipped that step.
They blank on that. They totally blanked on that. Indeed. And of course, yeah, the reindeer break him out. They bust him out of jail. So, how many crimes did Santa commit in this movie?
I
Somebody should
mean,
go back and just count a tally of all the litigation that
he's a bad guy.
of just everything he does. So, this guy think about what he did to this town. He broke all their laws, broke out
Broke
of
into their
jail,
homes.
demonstrated to the kids that like breaking law is okay as long as you are making somebody happy. And then he just bounces. He just leaves. And Burgermeister Meisterburger is going to have everybody who aided and abetted him lined up against a wall. You better believe that. They're going to be questioned, thoroughly questioned. You know, they are not going to be released. It's going to end very badly for them. And where is Santa then? Where is he going to come back and save them? I don't know.
Well, there's literally a dead or alive wanted poster for Santa, and I'm like,
he's serious
like,
about that.
Well, that was kind of my big final note was like, is this a movie for children? It's not fun. It's not really like, it's not like a feel-good movie, and Santa is literally threatened with his life and an outlaw. That's why at this point, we continue to add to the lore. Matt, tell your children, do you know why Santa grows a beard? So he's not recognized because he's wanted by the law.
He's on the lam. Yeah,
I mean,
there has to be a reason for everything. Yeah, gotta have a reason for the beard, right? Otherwise, he would just look like Fred Astaire.
He had to change his name.
Yep.
There was a warrant out for his arrest, so he changed his name.
Yeah, and it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. So they travel to the North Pole. They establish a toy workshop there.
They get married
with the death of Meisterburger. He died.
Yeah. So I don't remember that. I wrote no justice for Burgermeister. So what the movie does at the end, right? So they get married. They build the thing, and then Fred Astaire comes in and says, the voiceover kid's like, but whatever happened to the ban on toys? And Fred Astaire's like, well, time passed, and everyone kind of forgot about the Burgermeister, and they realized he was silly. And there's like, he has no ending. Absolutely no. They're like, he got old, and the Meisters aren't in charge anymore, and they just forgot about it. It's an old story. And it's like, I felt so bad for the Burgermeister.
I'm reading the Wikipedia. It literally just says, with the death of Burgermeister, the toy ban is revoked. And Chris is deemed a saintly figure, becoming Santa Claus.
Yeah, they literally just sort of...
The death of Burger... So he's lost to the annals of history, as we say.
Yeah, there's literally like a painting on the wall that falls down off the wall and the frame breaks. And I'm like...
Time comes for us all, you know.
I didn't love Burgermeister.
All we are is dust in the wind. All we are is half-eaten magical corn and snow in the wind.
He deserved better.
Burgermeister deserved better. Indeed. So tell me about why do we put the presents under the tree, Sean?
Well, they get married. So again, this is not a long movie. This is like maybe 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 46.
So they blast through this could have been like, if this were made today, this would be like an 8-part Netflix show. They blast through the lore. So they've got to fast forward from they've just met to they get married in the eyes of the Lord, by the way. They specifically shout out to the Lord. And
a very Christian wedding, indeed. Yep.
In the woods, because they say there was no family, but they did it under the eyes of the Lord. And but then they're like, oh, they decorated the tree for the wedding, and that's why we decorate trees. And they put their wedding gifts under the tree, and that's why we put our gifts under the tree. And the Winter Warlock uses magic to light the tree, and that's why we light trees for Christmas. And I'm like, for their wedding? And by the way, they got married on Christmas Eve, and that's why Santa delivers toys on Christmas Eve. And it's like, bullshit. They wrote the first 3/4 of the movie and we're like, shit, what about the tree? What about the presents?
Yes. I think that was, they bit off a little more than they could chew with this one. And they were like, a lot of this is, they could have called it Santa is coming to town, the shoehorning of Santa Claus story. Like everything is getting shoved in there, whether it fits or not.
It's okay. They didn't. This was like the movie version of reading a book. Like it was educational more than it was fun.
Mm-hmm. It was, but I will say the song I liked the best is actually "Put One Foot in Front of the Other."
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a
I would
memorable one,
agree.
right? That's a
Now,
memorable one.
Kris Kringle singing
Yeah.
"If You Sit on My Lap Today" was weird.
Oh, I wanted to. Yes, I wanted to talk to you about that, Sean.
Because they, by the
Yes.
way, they spend this whole movie explaining every part about Santa in incredible detail. But when it comes to sitting on the lap thing, he's like, "Why don't you just sit on my lap?" And I'm like,
The best is Mickey Rooney singing it. He says,
yes.
Here are the lyrics. I'm going to read the lyrics straight
Please.
off the sheet to you. Oh, what a good girl. Oh, what a good boy. Oh, what a big smile. All because of a toy. If you sit on my lap today, a kiss, a toy is the price you'll pay. When you tell what you
Yeah.
wish for in a whisper, be prepared to pay. If you sit on my
Yeah, so
lap
you
today,
pay
a kiss, a toy is the price you'll pay. What a
Yeah, the idea
strange
is to get a
song.
toy, you have to pay Santa in a lap sit and a kiss.
Yeah, this is strange. And nobody thought when they were making this was not. Don't give me that like it was a different time crap. Because I think even back then, somebody should have looked at this and been like, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe
but at the
not.
very
Maybe we
least, have a
change some things.
convoluted reason. Like have like a, oh, and Santa spilled some jelly on his pants, and a child, worried for his embarrassment, came and sat so people wouldn't see it, and that's why children sit on Santa's lap. Make up a ridiculous. You do it the whole movie.
Or one of them. How about one of them's playing with a toy, and the Burgermeister's troops are coming by. His Schwarzstaffen are marching by, and so he grabs the kid and puts it on his lap, and then like hides the toy behind the kid, so that the toy is like hidden from view. Something like that. Like I don't know.
Yeah, give it some
I don't
explanation.
know.
Not
Even
that's
all that's a much better reason than having to pay Santa in kisses and lap sits for presents. What the hell are we doing here? What are we doing? Anyway, I really did want to mention that. That was like the number one with a bullet thing after watching this that I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I will say, Matt, I'll put a final point on it here as we've come to the end, but it was interesting. My coworkers and I, we go to Taco Tuesday. There's a taco shop in town. They're fantastic. They do half price tacos on Tuesday. And we go to Taco Tuesday. And while we're eating our tacos, they have television screens that are playing something, usually Paw Patrol for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
We went in there this past week, and I knew, because we're doing this, it was playing Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which was on whatever channel showing Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
And my coworkers looked up and they're like, "What is that? That looks really weird." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like,
Yeah.
"That looks, what the hell is that? That looks really weird." And I'm like, "Yeah." From the outside, this is a very odd piece. We didn't even talk about the Miss Jessica's song. My world is beginning today, with that weird, trippy animation segment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot going on here. I think my overall on this is, I don't think there's anything super objectively wrong or bad with it. It's just weird, which I think is going to be my review of a lot of these movies. And it made me laugh. Now, it made me laugh because it was stupid, but it made me laugh. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was some of these choices that were made. It makes you wonder. But I see that there apparently a video game
Yes,
came out.
I want to talk about this. Okay, so hang on. Let me pull up. I pulled up a playthrough.
Nice. Okay, because I was about to do that.
There was a Wii game and a Nintendo DS game, and they were legitimately licensed from the movie. Let's see if I can share my screen here so you can see and the folks at home can see.
What a treat!
Because I had to look up the playthrough. Here you go.
What a treat!
So this is a playthrough, and this is from the beginning. But you can see it's like it looks like the characters from the movie.
It does. I want to see some gameplay.
let's fast forward here to a little bit where he's sneaking around the village,
Okay,
and
and the Burgermeister's troops, yeah.
yeah, he's tossing toys out, and he's getting snowflakes, upping a snowflake meter.
This looks like I know this is like a real game, but it looks like when you have to have a game in like a movie or in like a TV show or movie, you have to have like characters like playing a game. So you don't program like a real game. It's like a dummy game in the background. That's what this looks like. It looks like it's fake, like it was made for a TV show
Now,
or a
to be
movie.
fair, Matt, that was most Wii games.
That's true. I mean, that was the
Uh,
style. It was the style at the time. That's for sure.
what I do appreciate is there are motion games. So if you spin your Wii controller, he'll dance.
And it causes something to happen.
It causes
Jump.
something to happen. Is there any?
Deliver the gifts.
Yeah, so it's all Wii motion based, which is oh look, you sort of shake your hand around to deliver the gifts inside the home.
Okay.
Now there's 25 levels to this game,
Wow.
apparently. I mean, it looks boring as hell, but I will say the characters do look
This looks
just
really
like
bad.
the movie.
Yep.
Very
This
well
looks
licensed. So
bad.
Santa
Okay.
Claus is coming to town, now available for the Nintendo Wii.
All right. And that
Matt,
yeah.
why don't we move on here to our other
Yeah.
movie this evening?
That
The First
wrapped
Christmas,
Santa Claus.
the
Mhm.
story of the first Christmas snow. Matt, I watched this,
Yep.
and I will be honest, it was totally fine.
Sean, I watched this and I will be honest, I don't remember almost anything that happened.
It's
beginning to
radically
end.
uninteresting.
I don't know if I may have slept through it. I don't I nothing really grips me except for yeah, I thought it was okay. Like there's really nothing that stands out. That's like I don't remember, were there songs in this? Was there
Yes, there were a couple songs that
Mhm.
were very unmemorable. To
They were
me,
very just boring. I don't know.
it
It was a
felt
boring
like
movie.
it should have been one segment of a larger thing with multiple segments.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird to stand alone. It aired December 19th, 1975, 22 minutes long. You have to have the famous narrator. In this case, it was Miss Angela Lansbury. She wrote the murder. And the ultra short synopsis: a young shepherd named Lucas is struck by lightning, and three nuns find him. He is blind and has no parents. So things are going very poorly for him. He is fascinated by the idea of a white Christmas, which never happens. Shenanigans happen. There's a Christmas pageant. Some boys mess with him. And in the end, it snows thanks to Jesus. And he's
Yeah.
not blind anymore.
A lot of things, yeah. It like you said, it was just a bunch of things happen. It doesn't. This was a really short one too. This was only like 20 minutes. This was a very short.
It flew by.
Movie.
And by the way, he went blind, and then by the end, he wasn't blind anymore. So it kind of was like there. I don't even know what the lesson was.
It reminded me a little bit of Drummer Boy, but like Drummer Boy had like all that angst and that like I'm mad at the world because of like what was taken from me. This just I don't know. This was just
Well, the settings and
know.
the music were a lot more interesting for Little Drummer Boy. Like visually, it looked more interesting. Whereas this was like they had like two. It looks like this. They made this when they ran out of money. Like they couldn't afford to make a better one.
Right.
Because this one is essentially came out back to back with Year Without a Santa Claus. So I don't know if this was kind of a throwaway or what, but it felt a little lesser than some of these others.
Yeah, honestly, I had never even heard of this before watching for the show, and I bet most of the folks out there probably haven't either.
Well, get used to it because we have a lot coming up that you've never heard of.
We do. What else is there really to say? There's not that many. Angela Lansbury played Sister Teresa. That's cool. Didn't know that.
Yes. I think a lot of these they had a notable, famous narrator. I think that was kind of a calling card, if you will.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Other than that, it's fine. This one very forgettable. I
Enough said.
I've already forgotten most of it. And I don't know. This one I would probably give a pass to if I was ranking on my ranking and Bass. This one's gonna not. I don't feel like this one's not gonna do
Does not apply.
super well. Yeah. So
That is
here's
very
a fun little mistake is that the story is apparently set in 1845. Don't remember where they mentioned that. Probably in the beginning, but it says that Lucas and Sister Teresa sing the song "White Christmas," which wouldn't even be written until nearly 100 years later.
I'm sure they were really worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this. This is awesome. So I should not read the IMDb like goofs page.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. But this is funny. Under the factual errors section for Santa Claus is coming to town. The doctor who examines Burgermeister Meisterburger says, "Just as I suspected, you've broken your funny bone. However, the Burgermeister has a bandage on his foot. Furthermore, the doctor determines this from an oral thermometer, which has no mechanism for detecting bone fractures."
I remember that. Yeah, and I see that was another thing.
Thank you, IMDb.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, I do remember that. So incompetent medical care. We can add that to the list. Maybe, maybe it has something to do with not being allowed to play with toys. I don't know. Maybe that doctor was just trying to sabotage him.
Apparently,
Maybe that's what killed him in the end.
Okay, here we go. There was a novelization of the film published in 2008 for some reason. But in there, to answer a question, the somber town dungeon was built like a fort with a courtyard in the center, and it is there that the flying reindeer land to rescue the Kringles. So that's how they escaped.
Okay.
Novelization answers that.
It's answered in the lore. All right.
Matt.
Yeah.
Another great Rankin Bass episode. What a treat. We certainly had a lot to talk about. No shortage of ideas here. And Matt, we got a doozy coming up on our next one. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Very excited. What are we watching?
Next up, we got another doubleheader here. We will be doing 1974's The Year Without a Santa Claus, which I know is a favorite of yours. It's a favorite of mine. It's maybe the best music of all of these, the best songs.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I would say so. I think it's up there. It's gotta be in the top list. It's the top list for sure.
They did a live action remake of The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Really? Live remake
starring John Goodman as Santa Claus?
I did. Yeah, somebody did tell me that.
Oh my goodness.
I do remember. Yep.
Paul Mavis wrote, "The Year Without a Santa Claus is a nauseating, angry, joyless little holiday confection sure to poison any child unlucky enough to chance upon it. This hate-filled stocking stuffer has nothing but contempt for its intended audience, promoting the worst possible beliefs about people while cloaking itself, incredibly, in the fake guise of a meaningful lesson about the holidays. The goal that the cretinous makers of this film have is quite audacious."
Written by Burgermeister Meisterburger. I'm gonna
see if I can track this down.
The third to the fourth. Yep.
I would love this. This has got to be wild. I'm gonna have to see if it's on YouTube. Anyway, so we will be watching The Year Without a Santa Claus, the original from 1974, and Matt, we will be double featuring that with our first sequel. Now, Rankin and Bass did a number of sequels over the years, and we'll be watching several of them. But for next week, we will be watching 1976's The Little Drummer Boy, Book 2. He's back, and this time, it's personal. He's here to kill Jesus.
Psyched. Wow, what a twist.
No, he's not. Oh my God, The Year Without a Santa Claus movie is on YouTube. I am so I'm definitely, it's an hour and a half, and I am definitely watching it.
Yeah, report back.
Chris Kattan is in it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. So we got doubleheader next week. Year Without Santa Claus, Little Drummer Boy Book 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm certainly excited.
Yeah. No, looking forward to it. As always.
Awesome. As always. Well, Matt, we are going to wrap it up here. We appreciate everyone joining us. If you didn't watch or listen to last week's episode.
The penguin's name is Topper because the topper goes on top of the Christmas tree, Sean.
That can't. You just made.
That's why
not
they
true.
named him Topper.
That's not true.
The topper is the
lie to me.
item, whatever item that goes on the Christmas tree on the top is called the topper. I was trying to figure out why the hell his name was Topper this whole time.
But does he ever go on top of a tree at any
No,
point?
but they just needed, they might as well have named him Jingle Bell. They just needed a name that was Christmassy. That's why they called him Topper. Because like an angel or a star, whatever goes on top.
But you don't put a penguin on top of a tree.
Why the hell wouldn't he just be they should have just made him a star. He should have just been a star that like fell from the sky or something, like a little star.
Well, they're
named Topper, and then he could have gone on top of the Christmas tree at the end of the movie. They would have sold so many toys.
Well, apparently at some point in the trivia section, I saw that at some point there was an edit of, because they edit these movies all different ways and they change them over time. At one point there was a cut where he was called Waddle, which makes much more sense.
More sense, but no, I think he was supposed to be a star. He's supposed to be something that goes on the tree.
That can't be.
Or the angel, because some people put an angel on the tree.
That's wild. I don't.
That's why his name is Topper.
Lord,
that just came from up here. I bet that's why they call him that. Anyway,
in a podcast full of dumb things we've done over the years, this may take the cake. Matt, upfordebate.tv is our website. Of course, check out the audio wherever you get podcasts and the video on YouTube. You can see our lovely faces and watch us play Wii games on YouTube. We are wrapping up here, though. So on behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it as always. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you next time for another great episode of Up for Debate.